Welcome to the So Social Radio Show. I'm your host, Richard Martin, along with my amazing co-host,
cheri-Martin, and we are the WCN Interactive Team, your business growth, marketing, and social media strategists, helping you to
dream it, plan it, build it, and most importantly, successfully do it.
For that growth, prosperity, and success, what we like to call your GPS. And we're here each Wednesday at 12 noon on TalkNetworkRadio.com, where we share tips and techniques to grow you and your business, plus demystify social media and marketing for you so you can have more fun.
And my favorite, more profits.
That is right. And we are very honored to have with us today a very special guest. We're going to do an official introduction of Maggie, but we do want to do a shout out and just say, hi, Maggie. She's calling in today from the Orlando area. So hello, Maggie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We're excited to have you.
This is one site, that Pinterest, that I know enough to dabble in, so I know I'm going to be taking lots of notes as well. But before we do get started, I'll do an official introduction of Maggie here, but we want to make sure everyone knows they can connect with us on Facebook at So Social Radio Show. There is a top pinned post there that if you have any questions at all today for Maggie on our show, make sure you just place them in the comment thread. I'm monitoring it here in the studio, so we'll definitely address those because we are live right here on Talk Network Radio, so we can get those questions answered right away for you. So make sure you give us a like while you're there as well. And if you have any topics that you would like to hear us have a conversation on and learn more on. You know, we're all about education, so we want to bring you what you want to learn. Please do leave us a little message there on our So Social Radio Show page.
Absolutely, but before we get started, let's give credit to the people that allow us to be here, our amazing sponsors.
Definitely.
On that. I want to start off with Toastmasters, a world leader in communications and leadership development. Find out how you can improve on your speaking and leadership skills. Visit toastmastersd84.org. toastmastersd84.org.
And also, one of our partners is Constant Contact. We're very happy to have connected with them, and an award-winning company empowering small businesses and nonprofits to grow and succeed through email marketing. You can be a marketer with one toolkit, one login. You know, they provide amazing customer support for the small business that really is just getting started with their email marketing, and you can get a 60-day free trial. Just go to bit.ly, that's bit.ly/WCN free CTCT and get started growing your marketing list today.
And remember, there's nothing on the internet that converts better to revenue than email. So just a thought. One of our other sponsors, Everything Brevard, a Brevard County, Florida community website, keeping us up to date on everything that's happening in Brevard. And get your business listed also on everythingbrevard.com.
And of course, we do want to definitely give a great shout out to this month's sponsor of the social radio show, and that is Fish Window Cleaning, a local window cleaning company serving the Space Coast region of East Central Florida. Call Ian Kennedy for a free estimate at 321-757-7299, and you can visit and find out more information about fish window cleaning at fishwindowcleaning.com/852. And you're going to meet Ian right here on the So Social Radio Show next Wednesday. He is, as our February sponsor, going to be our guest, and he's going to share some great tips that he's been able to use as far as marketing his business and how he's been able to grow his business all these years as well and stay front and center in our community. He's amazing. We're going to have a lot of fun with him.
All right.
So should we give the official drum roll here
and
give
the official drum roll rolling there, girl. So
Maggie, just let me give all your accolades here because I do want to let everyone know that Maggie Lamarre is the founder of Cascade Avenue Agency, a branding, marketing, content discovery agency. And Maggie's also a Pinterest expert and a visual marketer expert, or extraordinaire, like I like to say. And she has been published in over 125 times in print magazines, has also been featured on PBS and the Home Shopping Network. She is a chief thought innovator, helping entrepreneurs dominate their niche market, and has been named top pinner by Better Homes and Garden magazine and was featured twice on the Pinterest featured email. That's pretty cool.
That really is. That's a lot.
I like that. And I have not met Maggie personally. We actually met on social media. But as I told her when we were sharing a conversation last week, I was one of those stalkers watching because I really didn't know much about LinkedIn, and every time I Googled, her name kept popping up. So I had to follow her and get connected. So we are really in for such a treat today on the So Social Radio Show. We're going to have a conversation with Maggie on visual marketing. She's going to be sharing some, I know, amazing Pinterest tips. So grab your pen, paper, computer, wherever you take those notes at. And I know she's going to give us some really great, insightful information today, so you will have a better understanding of how and why you need to be using Pinterest in your marketing efforts. So welcome again, Maggie, to the So Social Radio Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so excited. Wow, what a great introduction. You can follow me everywhere now.
Well, again, I just feel so blessed that when I reached out to you, I was just tickled pink when you said that you would definitely would love to come and share with our audience. I remember when I first got on Pinterest, I think it launched in March of 2010, around there in a beta testing. And I was excited to be accepted as one of their beta testers. I had no clue what I was doing at that time. I don't think any of us did. But it was just an exciting platform to be on. And, oh, my gosh, it has just so evolved. And I can't keep up with it. It's so, again, I love to connect with people like you that have just taken it and made a business out of it and helped so many entrepreneurs and businesses use it effectively. So thank you again for coming on board here with us.
Thank you so much. I'm excited. I'm excited to get going. Like you, there's a lot of people that started with the beta but haven't done much with it. And it's a sad state that people think that it's only good for just recipes and so on. There's just so much more to it.
I think that's what a lot of people think. It's just, for the, when we first got on, pinning the recipes and getting all the little craft items, those little craft projects and building your dream boards and for weddings and home decor. So definitely I've seen the involvement. I like to say all these social platforms are ever evolving, and I firmly believe Pinterest is one of those. So if you would want to just start off today sharing first with our audience and share with them what Pinterest actually is.
I'm going to explain to you very easily. One word. It's a search engine. That's all it is.
A search engine?
Well, you answered my big question there because I was wanting to know if Pinterest was like a visual Google. So that's amazing right there.
That is exactly what it is. But let's start with the history of it. Once you understand the history and the foundation, then it makes it so much easier.
Okay.
So Pinterest started with just visual content. But what people didn't understand, they thought that it was a social media like Facebook, which isn't. It's not like Facebook. But however, there's a lot of things from Facebook that integrate into it. So when you go to Facebook, beforehand, you have to sign on. You have to have a profile. You have to enter your information. You have to have an image for your profile, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are things that you're all used to. Then when somebody created a post, then you have the options to like it and so on. So a lot of these were incorporated into Pinterest. But however, that is where the similarities end. So let's start at the beginning. We are visual creatures. So we started, when you look at history and you look at the hieroglyphics and you look at the Native Americans, they all communicate through visuals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's what we are. So today, we are the modern Viking. We do everything, all our navigations, everything is done online, and everything includes visuals. So when you think about your daily life, right,
Mm-hmm.
you go to a restaurant, and when you look at the food on the menu and you look at the images, the first thing, you are seduced by the plate, the way it is plated. So if an image doesn't look so great, chances are you're not going to order that food, right?
Exactly. And you want it served
Yeah,
just like that
because we're
picture.
seduced by our eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that, because there's a survey that was done by 3M that was years and years and years ago. And it shows how images are translated. So you see the images, the cortex translate the information quicker than it does the text. So we are all visuals. But imagine what kind of world would we have if we didn't have visuals. Think about it. Early 1800s, if we had the amount of cars that we have today in the 1800s, we did not have stoplights, right?
Mm-hmm.
We did not have turn signals and all that. What kind of chaos will we have today?
Amazing concept. Never thought of it that way.
Society has
Yes.
definitely evolved, yes.
Yes, we have evolved. Everything evolved. So let me give you the backstory of Pinterest. Pinterest, as you know it today, there was another site that started before Pinterest. It was Kaburo. Kaburo is still in existence. And you know, chances are you have friends and family that are getting married, and then they go and register at a bookstore. And then once they go there, then somebody, their friends or family can go in and purchase whatever it is that they have on their list, their wish list, right?
Exactly.
Well, this concept did not exist before until Kaburo made it happen. Kaburo was a wish list site where you can go in and gather information and share it with your friends and your family, so that way they can get exactly what you wanted. So that's where this whole concept of visual, of bookmarking, of saving your favorite items and so on, that's where that started.
Wow.
So it revolutionized the way we do things. A lot of people are not aware of that. When they go to their wedding registry and so on, that didn't exist until the site came along called Kaburo. So Pinterest is Kaburo on steroids.
I like that. I like that.
That is what it is. So everything that was lacking on Kaburo is on Pinterest. Kaburo, but you have to remember, in the early days of 2000, 2005, 2008, we did not have the technology that we have right now. Right now we have CRM, we have a number of ways to track people, we have pixel targeting, we have a number of the ways of finding people.
Mm-hmm.
So social media has become our word of mouth. But what Pinterest does better than anybody in the world is word of mouth. Pinterest has become our word of mouth, our guerrilla marketing, everything combined into it, just that one place. And that's what gets me so excited about Pinterest, because I could see when I first heard about Pinterest, there were about probably 75 to 100 people. So I got contacted by this blogger, a social blogger out of San Francisco, that was working with Ben at the time to try to get people to come in. So I was in Utah at a conference. I was supposed to be talking, and my slot was changed. And when I questioned why did my slot change, that's what they told me. There's this guy, his name is Dan. He has an awesome platform. He's trying to get people on it and stuff. I think we really need to talk about it. And I said, well, okay, so introduce me. So they introduced me to Dan, and he told me what Pinterest was about. And I said, oh, my God. That is brutal. I'm sorry. So I still use that phrase. And when I told him that, he's like, he wasn't aware of Kabuto, what Kabuto was and stuff. And I told him and all that. And that's how I got onto the Pinterest.
Can I
a lot of the that I've done.
Can I interrupt you for a second?
As Pinterest has been growing.
We need to.
So,
Maggie,
all my information is not from reading Mashable.
Okay.
All my information are from being a part of the team and trial and error.
Mm-hmm. Maggie, we're going to interrupt just a second. We need you to stay in front of the mic there. We lost you a couple times, so I don't know if it's again, we love technology, but sometimes it kind of fades out a little bit. So I think maybe the line or just stay right there in front of the phone. So yeah, because this information is phenomenal, and I don't want to have anybody miss anything that you share today. So, definitely, I see exactly what you're saying as far as the involvement. And I know that I've read somewhere that our subconscious actually reads or thinks visually.
Our mind stores information in images.
So this is where I see this so strong. So this is great.
Can you guys hear me now?
I can now. Yes, much better. Thank you.
Everything's excellent.
Okay, perfect.
So
perfect.
do
yes,
continue.
This is how I think we have a lag.
A little bit there. Yeah, but go whenever you hear this on the lag, go ahead and continue. We loved what you were saying. We want more.
Oh, okay. Well, once you understand the foundation and you understand the history of it, it makes so much more sense. But you're going to be hearing all kinds of crazy data that people are spouting out, and these are all data that wasn't Mashable. I know you guys are going to hear me talk about Mashable a lot. I don't have anything against Mashable, but my issue is a lot of people are talking about Pinterest and they're reading this stuff from Mashable that are really, really old. They're reading data that's from 2010, not 2010, from 2011, 2012, that no longer is applicable.
Where would you advise them to make sure that they're staying current with what's happening with Pinterest? Obviously following you, correct?
That is true.
So if you
but another really great place is Pinterest has been doing a really great job on their blog and putting the data, putting the information out there. So that is another great place. I keep up with all the latest information that's coming out, all the studies and everything. So that is one of the things that you're going to be seeing a lot on the blog when you go to cascadeavenue.com/blog.
Okay, great. That's good to know. And I'll get this information up on our Social Radio Show page later today so that people are aware where they can go and make sure they stay current. And, of course, I have your website up there. If you want to just give a shout-out of what your website is and where people can connect with you so that they can definitely stay more up to date with everything that's happening too, go ahead and do that. We'll have you do that a couple times today, but go ahead and give a shout out right now.
That is awesome. Where you can find me so many places, but the best place to find me is at cascadeavenue.com, so which is Cascade, CASCADE, Avenue, fully spelled, AVENUE.com, and /blog. And also you'll find mini courses, you'll find all kinds of really great information that I share. Not only do I talk about Pinterest, I talk about business marketing, best practices, and also self-care about getaways, trips, places that you should go in, because you know what, we all went into business for the idea to be able to travel and do different things, be with family and so on. So you'll find all that information. Cascade Avenue is the hub of where you want to be. So that's where I would suggest you guys head to. Now let's get back to Pinterest.
Yes.
So here's one thing that substantiates what I said about Pinterest being a search engine, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pinterest Pinterest is currently experiencing over 2 billion monthly searches.
Wow.
Now,
2
when you
billion?
think about those 2 billion with a B.
Wow.
2 billion searches are being done or made on Pinterest. So the search function on Pinterest is bar to none. You cannot find this type of results outside of Google on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn, because they have invested so much into the search function that it is such a plethora of great information that you can literally spy on people legally on Pinterest.
A little marketing espionage going on here.
There you go.
was a
You
little-
can literally do it right there for
That's
free.
cool. That's
For
cool.
free. So let me give you another stat that's really going to blow your mind right now. So we talk about how there's 2 billion searches a month, but think what people are searching for. People think that it's only about products, but in reality, it's not only about products. Services are part of it too. So when people say that people are only looking for recipes and so on, that couldn't be further from the truth. So it's not just about recipes. It's about people go in there to organize their thoughts, to organize and see the things that they want. They look for their future.
Mm.
They go in there for inspiration. So when you're looking at Pinterest, it's not just about that. Did you know in 2015, Pinterest referred close to 15 billion with a B raffles brands on Cyber Monday?
Directing them.
Now, when I think about these numbers, you know what? I am not a greedy person. I would love to have at least 500 million of that. I'm not asking for 15 billion. I'm just asking for 500.
And it was on Cyber Monday, right? So people were definitely online shopping, and they were using Pinterest as the search engine to take them to where they could purchase.
Yes, and I'm going to blow your mind about there's over 150 million users on Pinterest currently. 97% of the people that pin something on Pinterest result into 93% of a purchase, meaning 1 out of 4 images on Pinterest that are pinned on Pinterest result into a sale. And not only that, Pinterest has introduced the shopping cart, where you can purchase things on Pinterest directly now.
Mm-hmm.
No other platforms is doing that. So,
well, and does it? I know we'll probably jump around. I know you're going to share so much information about Pinterest and get more into detail like that. But are you allowed to put prices on your pins then, or do you have to actually put description and take them to where, like say on your website or your shopping cart, where you show the prices? What is allowed?
You
on the
can
pin?
put prices on Pinterest. You can put prices on your description. Here's what I would suggest that everyone do. When you're creating your pin, make sure that your pin has the proper keyword. Remember, we talk about the fact that Pinterest is a search engine now, right?
Yep, that's correct.
So you want to be able to optimize the images that you are using by making sure that you have the proper keywords, which is something that we go into the coaching program. We have the coaching program, Pinterest coaching program, that's going to be launching in the spring.
Okay.
And we go step by step on how to use Google as your IV to your Pinterest account, how to get into the search engine on Bing, on Yahoo, on Google, just by making sure that you follow the proper steps of making sure that you have your keywords, you've done your keyword research, you have entered in there, and we go into should you use a hashtag or not using hashtag. So all this information, we go step by step. So this is not a program where you go in and we're spouting ideas. This is step by step. We take you by the hand and we said, Here's that button. Click on that button. Here, you go here. You do this. This is what you enter. This is where you go in. And then we show you how to look at the report so you see where your ROF. So we're not looking at ROI. We're looking at ROF. ROF is what we're trademarking is return on your finishing. So you start that project and you finish it up so that way you can see the results. Entering prices is a great way, but there's also rich pin on Pinterest. What I'm saying to you is this platform has so much available that to lead your business and generate clients that a lot of the marketers, a lot of people are not using it properly. And that's what I'm an advocate for.
Exactly.
Of teaching the proper way of using it and generating. Let Pinterest do the heavy lifting for you.
Mm-hmm. Well, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. Well, no, exactly. And that's why I emphasize to so many of our listeners that you definitely want to connect now with Maggie and find out when this spring, is it a boot camp, right, or a coaching program? Do you have a registration link up on your website yet for this?
Currently, we do not have the registration. What we have right now is the mini course that teaches you how to use images, how to create images, how to use free software online to create images so that way you're creating a disruption in the market. Once you get that part set up, then the next step is Dan is learning how to use it, not only on Pinterest, but you use it on any other platform on your website and so on. So this mini course is called Sparkle and Shine, and it's going to walk you through step by step how to create disruptive images, how to add glam and glamour to your images so that way you separate yourself from the marketplace.
And that's,
so that is the mini course, and that mini course is only $49, and it's on our website.
Okay, great.
And for your listeners, when they purchase the mini course, what we're going to do, a special for WCN, we're going to give them an extra 10 texture to help them with their image designing for their marketplace.
Oh, fantastic.
So now that you have that, there's a couple of things that you really, really, really need to do when you get on Pinterest. First, you need to understand that any businesses can be on Pinterest. The only businesses that cannot be on Pinterest, there's only a few of them. It's escort services. Anything that has to do with the porn industry cannot be on Pinterest because it'll be shut down.
Okay.
And the second thing is spamming. Spamming meaning that there's nothing worse that you go on our website and you look at this image. This is a great image, and it's like, oh, it's a beautiful flower arrangement. It says DIY flower arrangement, and then when you click on it, it takes you to a weight loss thing for cellulite.
So
I mean, who wants that?
Exactly. It's the same with a Facebook ad. Don't mislead people. It's the quickest way to lose them and to lose credibility completely. So totally get that. Make sure you're consistent with your marketing so you get better results.
Exactly. So those are the two things that you cannot do on Pinterest. But outside of that, Pinterest is the wild, wild west. Practically every single month they update their TOS. And there's really not much that doesn't go on Pinterest. But I cannot talk enough about that platform.
I love your passion. I mean, I'm so excited just listening to you. I don't want to say a word. I just want you to keep talking because you're so passionate about it. But I do have, I do have a few questions that were actually texted to me earlier today that kind of goes along with what you're sharing. And one of the questions is somebody was confused about the secret board. Why would someone want to have a secret board knowing that it is a search engine? How would someone use that, or is it really necessary?
Oh, my goodness. Let me tell you something. I mean, if you think I'm passionate about Pinterest, wait until I start talking to you about secret boards. Let me tell you about secret boards and why you should have secret boards. First of all, you're going to run into things that you want to use it for later. Okay, let me explain it in a very clear way. The secret boards are my notepad.
Ah.
Simple as this. It's my notepad.
I like that.
So instead of me, in the old days, back in the old days, Cheri, right? In the old days, we'll do things by hand. We'll write it down, or we'll copy and open a document and paste it in there and stuff, right? You remember those old days when we used to do stuff like that? Well, nowadays, with the technology that we have and with Pinterest, everything is in the cloud now. So now when we talk about saving and keeping things, it's in the cloud. So now Pinterest has become our notepad in the cloud, because most people don't realize that you can save images, videos, and articles on Pinterest.
Articles?
So it's not just
articles too? How? Okay.
Yes. So articles, any articles that you find somewhere, you can save it and so on Pinterest. Now, here's 2 ways that I'm going to suggest that you use Pinterest. And I have a secret way of using Pinterest, and that's also in the coaching program. But I'm going to give you the 2 of the 5 that I share. Right?
Okay, awesome.
So
thank you.
The first one, I love using secret boards because that's a way for me to collaborate with clients. So let's say, for instance, you and I were going to be doing a speaking engagement, okay? So now what we'll do is, you know what, we need to set up the website. So here's the color scheme and everything that we want to work with. So instead of you going into Google Doc and creating a document and then putting the links in there and all that stuff, all you have to do is create a secret board and call it Cheri and Maggie's event. And then we start collaborating together and putting things that we found that we're working on. So
brilliant idea.
So you can use secret boards for your staff meetings, where you have your staff coming in and create it as a group board, and have your staff coming in and creating things and storing things and stuff that you guys can go and collaborate on. So those are 2 best ways of using the secret boards. And why you should have secret boards, because there's going to be times you run into things that that you don't want to make public. So instead of creating all these things and housing them on your computer, God forbid you go travel somewhere and all of a sudden you have no access to that information because it's stored locally on your computer. But if you are technically savvy, then at this point you can do PC anywhere and get into your PC, but most of us don't do that.
I'll tell you what, that's definitely thinking outside the box with that collaboration and using Pinterest, because that's probably where you're gathering a lot of the information for an upcoming workshop. If you're gathering images for a PowerPoint or et cetera, and as I say, gathering some information, maybe you've got some blogs that you're bringing in with more detailed information and putting them in one area, and you're sharing those secret boards. I love that idea tremendously.
Oh, no. From an aviation guy sitting over here, this is all amazing. And I'm going, okay, how can I bring this in the aviation industry and start looking at some of that type of stuff? So, that's a really interesting information, because aviation's all about how sexy is your airplane.
So
yeah,
cool.
There is a company that is owned. It's the first woman-owned private fleet that uses Pinterest really well.
You have to start following that. So
Yes.
it's a woman's fleet. That's cool. Well, now you shared the one tip. What would be the other out of those 5 that you would want to share with our audience today?
Oh, I did. The first one we talk about using it as your notepad, and then the second one is using it as a collab.
Okay, great. I have both of those written down. I wanted to make sure that those were the 2. So to me, they're just, those are so insightful. And again, another way to really think outside the box. Now, with all this information and hearing your passion, how did you were you involved with social media when you first were introduced to Pinterest, or what made you jump on board, Maggie, and really take it to the level that you're at now and really teaching this site to so many individuals where they're actually now able to use it to grow their business?
Well, actually, my previous life started as a computer programmer, so I understand technology really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to date myself now.
I
don't know.
My first class was DOS. Okay, so I just dated me, right?
Okay, all right. So you and I are on the same page here because yes. So you do remember about COBOL and
yes,
and Fortran and so on and yeah. So anyways, that was what my forte was. I was working on Y2K, and you all know that Y2K didn't happen. So at this point, I had to do something different. And I've always been interested in marketing, so I went and got my marketing degree. So I've been doing marketing and combining technology with marketing. But when I've always been involved in online, so I was very aware at a very young age about 9X and the bulletin boards and so on. So what got me so much into Pinterest was when I was at the conference and Ben was introduced to me, and I realized that Pinterest was a caboodle on a steroid. So that's what got me into Pinterest.
Mm-hmm. And I understand that because people ask me how I got involved in social media. I was actually at the time regional director here for BNI, Business Networking International, teaching networking. And when I first saw LinkedIn, especially, I thought, oh my gosh, this is networking on steroids. So I completely understand that concept of what you just said about going from caboodle to Pinterest. I never even thought about it because I vaguely remember caboodle, but I didn't really ever tap into it. So Pinterest has always amazed me with the type of information that is shared and how you can use it. And what really is amazing to me, and so many that ask me questions about Pinterest, is, you kind of answered one of the questions that it's for any business except for the industry that, of course, Pinterest does not allow on, which is a good thing to know, that you're not going to run into that type of information. But is there a specific type of business that has a better result, that you found have had better results than others? In other words, a service-based versus a product-based business?
No, there isn't actually. It's all about, Pinterest is about one thing and one thing only, traffic. And that's what they specialize in traffic, just like with Google and the search engine and so on. So that's what they specialize in. Mm-hmm. So outside of those two industries that I mentioned, there isn't a industry that's better than the other one.
Mm-hmm. That's good to know, because I do know that, again, it's one of those sites that it has that myth, as we kind of talked a little bit about when we first started our conversation today, was so many individuals. Well, first of all, I know that there are more women on Pinterest than men, and that's your greater audience. So you definitely want to make sure that it's one of those platforms that it's not just targeting your target market. You're using it as a traffic generator to lead them to where they can get to know more about you, and also drive traffic to where they can purchase from you. So you really have to think differently. I can see that on Pinterest than you do, say, on Facebook or LinkedIn.
It's interesting to listen to you just describe that, because what came to mind was this is like the top of a funnel. So it's beginning to circle at the top, and it slowly works its way down on that,
And we did have a question that just came in wanting to know exactly, how do you use Pinterest to sell? What's the best way?
It starts with your imagery. And that is why it is so important that your image create a disruption in the market. Mm-hmm. Once you understand that concept, then the next step is your keywords. Your keywords are what's going to be important, because you want to make sure that you use the IV that goes directly to the search engines such as Google, Bing, and Yahoo. Mm-hmm. And that's why that I cannot stress enough how you must understand how imagery affect the brain, how imagery affect your buying decision. And that's the reason why I created this mini course about adding glam to your image. So when you have these components together, then you're going to get the traffic. But having traffic is one. But what do you do with that traffic when it comes in? That's the other part that most marketers are missing about conversion. So selling on Pinterest requires just two things. You must have a great image that's going to create a disruption, and you must have a great description. What I always suggest in my course with all my students that have been doing really well is not to go over 240 characters when you're describing the images. And also make sure that on your website your images are optimized. So this is something that you guys do very well when you talk about marketing, Cheri, and on optimizing your images, making sure that everything is optimized and ready to go.
And it's necessary then to optimize each image as well as your pin boards when you're creating the pin board, correct?
That's correct, yes.
Could you briefly describe the difference again for our audience that may not, that kind of maybe they're at that basic level? What is a pin board, and then where the images, how do the images play in those boards?
Okay, a board is really a way to categorize, organize. So think of your board like a fridge, right? So at your home, you have a fridge. Well, I'm assuming everyone has a full fridge, not just a small one. So you have a full fridge, and in that fridge, you have a section for produce, you have a section for meat, and you have a section for drinks and so on and all that, right? So you have your crispers bins, right? So that is a way for you to organize your food. So you don't just dump everything in the fridge. You organize them into sections. So your produce is going to go into the crisper. The dairy stuff is going to go into the dairy section and so on. So that's the easiest way to understand what boards are. It's a way for you to categorize and organize the information that you're curating.
Oh, that's
what it is.
That's a very visual description. Now, if I could just get my husband to understand what the crisper drawers are for and what the meat drawers are for. I love that visual. I understand it completely, but I'm a woman, so that was good, God. Maggie. And it's very clear to me because I know when I do just an overview of social media, a lot of times, I kind of break down the different top platforms that our businesses are using, and I talk about Pinterest, and I don't ever declare myself as a Pinterest expert, but I can help them set it up. But I definitely tell them these are the influencers in this industry that you need to be following, and your name is always right there because, again, I want everyone, and that's why I love our So Social radio show, to definitely hear from influencers, thought leaders, and experts that are tapping into these sites and using them yourself. So, again, when you said that you got onto Pinterest, you kind of, melded the technology with the marketing, and you saw the involvement, and it's continually growing. How are you using Pinterest right now for yourself to grow your upcoming workshops and your business? Just, kind of a tip or something.
I'm using Pinterest in several ways. I'm using Pinterest. Not only do I teach about Pinterest, but I also teach about content discovery and business mastery. And I train social media managers. So the social media manager and event is coming directly from Pinterest for me, and it's generating close to 60% of my leads for what I'm doing. Now that I'm getting ready to launch the Pinterest coaching program, I'm going to be utilizing the ads feature on Pinterest to really branch it out. There are several ways to use Pinterest. Like I said before, the sky is the limit with Pinterest. So these are the ways that I'm using Pinterest currently. Outside of the coaching program that's coming up in the spring and getting my leads, Pinterest is the number one traffic generator for me. Then the second one is the conversion of it.
Mm-hmm. Unbelievable. I'm seeing Pinterest so differently now from what I have seen Pinterest before, and I have not been using it as effectively as I should be. And I know I saw the light bulb go off in Richard too, because he does a lot of coaching with the Lightcraft Aviators, and how he can really tap into this a little bit differently.
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Well, somewhere up there I've got a board called Dreamweaver Aviation.
Somewhere, I like that.
I haven't been there for years, so I don't know. It may have been deleted for inactivity or whatever, but
Well, that brings a good question that I know I'm often asked when I'm teaching, my general social media when it comes to Pinterest, is how often should you be on the platform, and how often should you be pinning your own pins as well as sharing others, and is that important to make sure you're sharing other people's pins?
That is an amazing question, and that's the reason why you're so good at what you do. I love it. So here's the thing, okay? So we're going to take Richard's dream aviation, right?
Uh-huh.
So we have a gazillion of coaches. We have a gazillion of lifestyle coaches. It seems like they sprout overnight. Nothing against them. I mean, they are a great livelihood for me, but it seems like they sprout overnight. So there's a plethora of coaches out there that are traveling, that are going places and stuff like that are doing retreats. I have a friend of mine that does a lot of retreats overseas and stuff. So one way that you can really hone in on that, Richard, is targeting these ideal clients that are doing retreats, that are doing different things. How cool would that be that you provide private plane to them, and it becomes a luxury thing that they take their clients to? So now, let's get back onto Pinterest. How can you really hone on this? We are not looking at followers. What I teach you is how to get repins. So your question is, how often should you be on the platform? Well, again, a lot of people are reading this Mashable article, and then they're reading about, well, you should pin between 4 and 6, you should pin between 10 and 9, and so on. But Cheri, as a marketing expert on social media, you know that when these things comes about, you have to ask yourself, well, you know what? Let's say, for instance, I'm in Paris. Okay, so we are 6 hours ahead of Eastern. Which time is that 6 to 9 falls into?
Precisely.
Is it Eastern time? Is it Paris time? Is it London time? London is on GMT. Then you have Australia is on a different time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So which time does this falls into? So that's where I call it hogwash. So everyone read that article, and then they call it the Bible.
So
hey, you're spanking them good.
So we have to have you briefly do this in about 30 seconds, okay? We're coming down to the last minute already.
Oh, no. Okay, so what we do is we leverage the repin. So being on the platform is based on when your clients are there. That's when analytics comes very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Using Pinterest analytics, using Google Analytics. Again, search engine is very, very important to Pinterest. I have personally experienced 1.5 million repins in a 2-month period that I have experienced myself for clients. And that is because I am focusing on repins. I'm not focusing on followers, because we've all been brainwashed that your ROI is on followers, but actually what I'm teaching you, your ROI is not on followers, it's on repins.
Love it. And at that,
mm-hmm.
note, we do have to cut short, but you know what? I'm going to make sure on the Social Radio Show page, your website is listed there. They can go there and find out more about your mini courses. I know you have a free download that they can also take advantage of. I want everyone to connect with Maggie. She's got more information, so make sure you enroll in these mini courses so you too can learn how to use Pinterest effectively. And Maggie, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. Richard.
Oh, thank you so much, Sherry and Richard. This has been so much fun.
Make it sorry to interrupt you, but make it a great social week.
So we want to make sure everyone make it. Bye-bye.